Hi guys, it's Sunday, April 7th, so that means it's time to VEDA vlog everyday April, where all of this month I'm going to be reviewing comics unless something special comes up, and then if you missed yesterday's episode, yesterday's vlog, I gave a glimpse into my home life, because I've got a roommate named Debs, and she's very interesting. If you don't know Debs, she's from the band Debs Narrow. I'm sure you guys are aware, most of you guys are her fan anyway. But I've been talking about comic books, and very specifically this week I've been talking about Ultimate Spider-Man. I'm going to continue with that with a tangentially related. It's still related, but there's a little more to it than usual. But first I got to give you a little backstory. You see, in around 2000, when they introduced the Ultimate Universe, when Ultimate Spider-Man launched, there was some concern that they were going to do a crossover, because crossovers seem to be inevitable when it comes to alternate universe storylines, and they tend to be rather lazy because most of the time they're just sort of look at what we can do with two different characters, look at the story we can tell, and there's usually not much story. It's just supposed to be the fun and wow factor of Superman meets Spider-Man, or Archie meets the Punisher, or it just doesn't make any sense, and it's not often very well done. In fact, Joe Quesada stated very bluntly that if they ever got to that point, they've run out of ideas and it's time to close shop on the Ultimate Universe. Well, fast forward 10 to 12 years later, and they did a crossover. And I'm so very glad they did, because this is such a good series. It's called Spider-Man. It's not called Ultimate Spider-Man or Amazing Spider-Man. It's Spider-Man plural. And you might remember me, I mentioned this, I think it was on the earlier episodes of Errol and the Bald Guy. There was some speculation as to what it was going to be. It's a crossover between Amazing Spider-Man, the regular universe, Peter Parker, and Ultimate Miles Morales. You can see, yeah, right there. The series is, it's a culmination of a couple different things. The storyline with the death of Peter Parker, the storyline relating to Ultimate Mysterio, who has remained sort of an enigma up until this point, because we didn't know who he was, we didn't know really why he was doing things, and this answers a lot of questions, and it gives not some closure, but just some catharsis to a lot of emotional storylines that have continued on. And it's such a... Basically, the setup for the story is, as I said, Ultimate Mysterio has been this strange mystery for a long time. Who is he? What's he doing? Why is he doing it? And we discovered that he's actually Mysterio, like the regular universe Mysterio. It's the same guy. And he's found some sort of, I don't know if it's a rip in, space-time continuum. He seems to have devices that are able to break down the barrier between the two worlds. And he's created a sort of robotic avatar of himself that he functions within the Ultimate Universe with a slightly different persona. Same name, different shtick. And he's a little more effective in the Ultimate Universe at it. But unfortunately, Peter Parker kind of stumbles across his hideout and this setup that he has, and Peter kind of falls through space and time into the Ultimate Universe, where almost immediately he's met with a world where not only is he dead, but everybody seems to know who he is, and nobody seems to appreciate the fact that he is wearing the dead Peter Parker's costume, the Ultimate Peter Parker. Because this is pre-Ock Spider-Man storyline, so it's still regular universe Peter Parker. And he soon comes across Miles Morales, who, as it seems to be inevitable in every crossover, they fight. And because of some unfortunate misunderstanding, they come to blows, and eventually they come to understand each other. But what's really great about this series, especially the later volumes, is watching certain characters get to interact with Peter Parker, especially Aunt May and Gwen, who their entire world has been shaken by its foundations since the death of Peter Parker. and they found it really hard to kind of cope with this world. They went off to Europe for a while and then came back. And even though they've only sort of been related to the regular Ultimate Spider-Man series, the new one with Miles as the main character, this gives them a slight spotlight and allows them to kind of deal with the idea that there are other worlds out there. And one of them has an adult Peter Parker who is alive and well, functioning as a human being, not as he's a fully grown, fully realized adult, and he's still doing the Spider-Man thing. He's still having an impact upon the world, and it allows them a glimpse into what could be, what could have been, and it doesn't justify what Peter was doing, but it just gives them some sort of relief, and that was amazing to read and watch. And I mean, it's a Bendis storyline, so there's going to be heartfelt moments. There's also going to be great comedy. There's a lot of really funny bits, especially the interaction with Ultimate Nick Fury, who, as you know, is black, where the regular Nick Fury is white. And there's a great panel out there, if you can find it, about what's my counterpart like? He's white. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. And he gets to meet the Ultimates and Ultimate Tony Stark, and it's just a really fun series. I'm not going to give away everything. Unfortunately, it ends on a cliffhanger of sorts. Like, it ties up the storyline, but there's a little bit at the end that kind of they leave something unanswered. And it's a question I really, really want to see answered, unfortunately, because of the whole Spidey Ock thing going on right now. It's probably not going to happen for a little while. However, from my understanding, they are supposed to be coming back to this at some point and kind of answering that question. And I really want them to. I really want to see it. Anyways, I'm glad that they reneged on this. The reason they kind of went back and did this is because even though they promised they were never going to do it, because it was the 50th anniversary of Spider-Man, and because Bendis had a story to tell, they decided it was the time and place to do it. And it didn't feel forced. It didn't feel like a gimmick, like Superman meeting Spider-Man. It felt like there is a story to tell, there's a reason to tell it, and if for no other reason than the emotional impact of what's going on. And I mean the cool revelation that Mysterio is Mysterio of Two Worlds, and I think that was... I didn't see that one coming. That one kind of surprised me. But it's fun for its interactions, it's fun for the emotion, it's fun for the catharsis, and it's an interesting experiment, and I kind of hope that there's a little more repercussions for what happens here, but we'll see. We'll see what's coming up in the pipeline. As far as I know, they've continued doing Ultimate Spider-Man in its own capacity without connecting to this much, but I don't know. I've got to catch up on that series. And I know it hasn't really had too much impact on the 616 universe yet, but still, it's a really fun limited series. So if you can find it, I definitely recommend it. It's probably in trade. It's not too old. I mean, it's only like a year or two old. So it should be fairly simple. Actually, it's only about a year because, last year was the 50th anniversary. So, go out, check it out. The trades are out there. And I guess that'll do it for my beta of this week. Next week, I do have a plan for what I'm going to do, but I'm going to keep it a surprise. So stay tuned tomorrow. Find out what I'm going to do. Okay. Good night, guys.